Welcome back to the second episode of my new video series called the NBA Rundown, where I discuss the ins, the outs, the ups and downs in the association. In this episode, I will discuss the players under the most pressure, a franchise announcing one of their first jersey retirements, and an all-star going down on opening night. Let's get it. It was not only a disastrous start for the Boston Celtics, but also for the NBA. This was the first game of the season, and it was between two rivals favored to meet in the Eastern Conference Finals on national TV. With only just 6 minutes into his Celtics debut, Gordon Hayward went out for an alley-oop pass and fell down with his full body weight landing on his leg. His foot looked to be at a 90-degree angle from his leg. Hayward suffered a fractured tibia and a dislocated ankle. More than likely, he will be out for the rest of the season. The 27-year-old joined the Celtics this past offseason, along with Kyrie Irving, for a chance to compete for a championship this season. It seemed that all the excitement and optimism for the Celtics went down the drain with one freak play. The good news is, we saw Paul George have a similar injury and was able to bounce back to be better than he was before. Hopefully, Hayward can have a speedy recovery and have a chance to compete for the ultimate goal with the Celtics. The Memphis Grizzlies announced that they are going to retire Tony Allen's number 9 jersey after he retires from the NBA. Allen spent the last 7 years with the franchise and made a huge mark to the team's identity. He was one of the main players to establish the grit and grind mentality for the Grizzlies that made the playoffs every year he was on the team. He became somewhat of the people's champ for Grizzlies fans, as he would always leave his heart and soul on the court every night.
Paper, latest magazine. I was doing it just playing hard, playing the right way, trying to win. Never cared about the fanciness and the all-star games. All I wanted to just be known for was wanting to be one of the greatest defenders that ever played the game. And I just thank Memphis for allowing me that opportunity to be able to play.
Monday was the deadline for first-round picks from 2014 to get extensions on their rookie deals. Only Andrew Wiggins, Joel Embiid, Gary Harris, and TJ Warren signed extensions. Injuries were probably the main factor, while players like Jabari Parker and Zach LaVine did not get extended. Jabari is recovering from his second ACL surgery in 2 years. Parker has shown he can possibly be a 20-plus point scorer in this league, but it would have been foolish for the Bucks to give him a huge contract now after missing most of his games on his rookie deal. It made sense for the Sixers to give Embiid a huge contract after all his injuries, because Embiid has the potential to be the best player in the league one day. Jabari doesn't have that kind of potential. Zach LaVine is also coming off an ACL injury from earlier this year. He was a key piece from the Jimmy Butler trade in the offseason, and the Chicago Bulls are high on him. But he'll have to prove it on the floor after his injury. I'm sure the Bulls want to be flexible with their salary cap going into next year's offseason. There are other talented players in this draft class, like Marcus Smart, Yusuf Nurkic, Rodney Hood, and Julius Randle, who will have a lot to prove this upcoming season. With only a few teams projected to have salary cap space next year, teams are hesitant to give out big contracts and will just have to wait till after the season to reevaluate their restricted free agents to be. There will be a lot of players facing pressure. I will discuss 5 players under the most pressure going into this season. Russell Westbrook had a historical season as he averaged a triple-double for the entire year. Like Kobe Bryant after Shaq left, it was Russell's opportunity to show what he can do when he's the focal point. But with all the individual achievements last year, he knew he needed help to get back to competing for a championship. There was an excuse for him last year to simply put his head down and shoot as many shots as he wanted to. But now after OKC added PG and Melo, Russ has no excuse to over-dribble and shoot the team out of the game. He can take a little bit of a step back offensively and improve his floor game and on-the-ball defense. Russ and OKC have a team that can legitimately compete for a championship. After playing only 31 games in 3 seasons and just signing a rookie-scale max extension, all eyes will be on Joel Embiid this season. This guy talks a big game and has a big game. All he has to do is stay healthy. Philly has their young core in place with a sprinkle of veteran players. In the games Joel played last year, he was simply dominant. Philly had a stretch where they looked like a playoff team, and they were led by Embiid on offense and defense. Big things are expected for the big man in the middle. This is probably a make or break year for the New Orleans Pelicans, who are led by their superstar forward, Anthony Davis. I believe the pressure is on for Anthony Davis to get the Pelicans back in the playoffs. With Boogie by his side, along with Jrue Holiday and Rondo, Davis has enough talent around him to get this team in the playoffs. If he's as good as we all think he is, that should be the expectation. But at some point, we need to ask, does Anthony Davis have what it takes to be the best player on a championship contender? Andrew Wiggins joined his ex-college teammate Joel Embiid as the only two players to receive a max extension from the 2014 draft class. Wiggins has become a solid offensive player in his short career, but a lot of people expected so much more from the former #1 pick, specifically on the defensive end. We automatically expected him to be a good defender due to his supreme athleticism, and rightfully so. At this point of his career, Wiggins is a one-dimensional player. He's not a good rebounder, and he doesn't really get his teammates involved. After getting that extension, Wiggins needs to show improvements in many areas. Even though he's looked at as the third best player right now, with where he was drafted at and the contract he just signed, he simply needs to bring more to the table. After going to the finals 3 straight seasons and winning a championship, Kyrie Irving wanted to escape from the shadows of LeBron James and lead his own team. Even though his sidekick in Hayward is out for the season, Kyrie is still expected to lead this team to a lot of wins. The Celtics still have enough talent to play for home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Kyrie will not only be looked at to get buckets, but to also become better at getting his teammates more involved on a consistent basis. He needs to create easy looks for young guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Kyrie wants to be looked at as a superstar. He has a chance to prove he's one in Boston. If you would like for me to continue my NBA rundown videos, click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do it right now for more future NBA content.